Time for another episode of Day Drinking and Tarot, and today we are at the Black Sheep Wine Market in Chandler, Arizona, and I am so excited. This looks like my kind of place. So let's do a little day drinking, talk a little tarot, and some transformation. Come and join me. This Black Sheep place is so freaking cool. I love the atmosphere. It's kind of that, obviously Black Sheep, so it's darker, it's got a real atmosphere to it. It's almost like we're in like a subway, sort of a waiting area that is extra special and souped up. And I cannot wait to tell you what happened. When I showed up and sat at this bar, Anissa is my bartendress, and she was such a sweetheart. I just kind of went into my spiel. Here's who I am. Here's what I'm doing. This is the show. You know, would you be able to pick out a wine for me? And what was really interesting is as soon as I said, you know, I'm a psychic intuitive, her eyes just brightened up. So it's always a good sign that I'm with someone that doesn't think I'm a total weirdo who wants to burn me at the stake. And then I said to her, okay, she was like, yeah, I'm game for that. That sounds great. I said, okay, but here's the catch. Today's card is the death card. And not everybody can handle the death card, right? Because everybody thinks, dun, 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 we're going to predict somebody's death. But spoiler alert, that's not what we're doing. And she was like, oh yeah, no, I got you. It's change, it's transformation. I'm like, yes, we have a friend here. So Anissa is on her way to pick out a really cool glass of wine that we can enjoy when we're talking about the tarot. So while she's off doing that, let's have a conversation about the fated, feared, dun dun dun, death card. And I laugh at this and I make fun. I go over the top, and not because I'm trying to make fun of anybody, but because it is, I want to say, the most, well, that and the Devil card are the most misunderstood tarot decks ever on the planet, period, end of story. And when the death card comes up, and of course it's a little scary, you have this skeleton, and he's, you know, riding on a horse, and he's coming in, and he's, you know, kind of taking things over, and there are, you know, people here, and they look like they're afraid, and, you know, it's coming in, it's the Grim Reaper. Yes, some of those things are an aspect of the card, but the card really represents change and transformation. And when this card comes up for you in a particular reading, what it's most likely going to symbolize is that there is an ending that's coming up into your life. And the card is coming up to say, hey, just a heads up, so that you can be prepared. You guys hear me say it all the time on this show, that we are ever evolving. That's the whole point of life. The point of life is not to stay the same, to arrive at a place and then, okay, I'm there and now I just need to keep my whole life in this space. No, it is here to say, okay, there's a change that's happening, a change that's coming up, and it's inevitable. It's going to happen. The catch for you is, hey, if you know about it in advance, what would you like to do with it? You know, if you're prepared for the fact that, oh my God, my job is going away, or, oh my God, I just found out that this most amazing person that I started dating is dating someone else, or is moving out of the country unexpectedly. And, you know, it's the death of the dreams, it's the loss, it's the disappointment in something. So all of these things can come up and come through when you are in that, I want to say, that phase of transformation. And those fears can definitely come up when you get the death card. But I want to say it's about empowerment. And you have the option and the opportunity when the death card comes up to say, okay, deep breaths. This doesn't necessarily mean it's a 15 out of 10 and that dun, 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 something horrible and awful is going to happen. What it means is, hey, heads up. there are going to be other opportunities that are showing up in my life, and I need to make room for those opportunities. Something is dying away. Something is coming to a resolution, an ending, the closing out of a chapter. But whenever we come to the resolution, the end and the closing out of a chapter, there is always something new that is coming into the mix. And death can be, I want to say, celebratory if you're able to look at it in those ways. It's kind of getting excited for change rather than dreading the change. So let's see what Anissa has brought for us around the death card in terms of our delicious, delicious imbibement today. Oh, this is going to be so good. So what she brought for us is a Bordeaux. Oh my God, I love me a Bordeaux. Here's what I love about this. This is a Chateau Montcabrier. It's a Bordeaux Supérieur. And I love that it is an old world vine. It is an old world label. So symbolizing, it's the symbolic energy of the old, out with the old. She also told me that it is an aged wine with a lot of different minerals in the sip, minerals in the wine itself. So it changes with every sip, and it also is going to be different for each and every person on the palate. So I like this because when we're talking about that death card energy, we are talking about a shift and a change that is going to be contained and very specific to the particular individuals who are being affected by that shift and that change. And in this case, it's you. What is changing in your life and what is changing for you in your life. So let's take a sip of this Bordeaux and see what we've got. Oh, and they have these really cool glasses. I don't know if you can actually see it, but it says Black Sheep on it. I'm going to actually see if they have some for sale because I love me some wine glasses to go along with the wine. So let's have a sip and we'll see what this is all about with the death. Okay, I'm liking it. It's definitely got a bite. This is a wine that would need to breathe a little bit. I do feel the minerality that she's speaking to. I feel that there's like overripe berries. There is that soil, that dirt, that minerality to it. And I wouldn't say that it's smooth on the first bite. And when we think about shift or change, sometimes it can be a wanted thing. We get excited about the shift and change. Sometimes it's a choice that we make. We lean into it because it is what we are looking for. But sometimes it's the universe saying, okay, surprise, we're throwing you a little curveball, and it tastes bitter, right? It's not a fun taste. It's not a pleasant taste. And sometimes it's about, shit, I wasn't expecting that, or I'm not ready to let this thing go. But here I am, and here it is, and here we are. So let's try this second sip and see what's coming up here. Okay, so still more of that minerality. It feels a little thicker on the palate, more challenging to, I want to say, get into. This is definitely, like, just speaking from an enjoyment perspective, as a wine, this is definitely a wine that pairs well with food, a richer food. I feel especially like, and I'm a vegetarian, but like meat-like substances. So I would probably do like a portobello mushroom burger, or even a vegetarian burger, a black beef burger, or something like that. But definitely steak. You know, this is a steak. This is a lamb. You know, this is that red meat kind of feel. And I want to say the thickness of it is often how we feel when this card comes up. And I often say it's like the phoenix burning. The change shows up, and you're the phoenix, frayed. Your feathers are worn. You're exhausted. You know, you got chunks missing out. You look like you're 10 miles of bad roads, and you're ready for a rest, right? And all of a sudden, you poof, spontaneously combust. You turn into a pile of ash. That is what this is. And in fact, as I just said that word ash, I do taste a bit of ash in this, just a hint of it. And I didn't taste it on the first sip. I definitely tasted on the second sip. So let's see the third sip. The third time is always the charm. And that really tells you how the wine is going to unfold for you as you're experiencing it. So the third sip, there's still a bit of that bitterness that hits the back. I want to say the back of the palate, sort of the back roof of the mouth. It's almost like a reminder. Hey, you've got to let this go. You've got to get this out in order for you to be able to move forward. There's something exciting moving forward, but you don't know what that is yet, and that's okay. You're not supposed to. This is a time to begin your grieving process, to let go, to say goodbye to what was, so that you can be processed with that and you can be in to something new and something different. And this was honestly the perfect choice. Anissa just knocked it out of the park. So I'm here for happy hour because, of course, it's day drinking in Toronto, and I ordered a hummus plate, and man, oh man, this is beautiful. They actually butter the naan bread. It's like a naan bread rather than a pita bread, and we've got a little bit of hummus, so let's check it out. So good. Sometimes it's the simple things in life, and I think that's really important when we're sort of talking about that death card energy. Is we are letting go of the complicated. Sometimes as we are building and growing and doing things to achieve our goals, we start off small. We start off not really being sure of what there is. We have to build it up. And by the time we get to the end of the cycle, I'm going to say like the 10 of Wands energy, it's the rewards, but it's also the burdens that go with those rewards. Sometimes you create so much that now it's too much. And that's part of that process of where is the balance? Where do we find that happy medium? Or where do we find the balance that we are needing in that moment? The death card usually shows up when we are out of balance, and it's time to bring it in. So I'll say that this, it's actually like a garlic butter spread. So even better, it's fantastic. Thinking about the death card and knowing that this was the episode and what an important episode it was going to be, I really was in a space of, okay, this kind of needs to be an important story that I choose. And to be honest with you, even as I'm recording it right now, this is going to be a little off the cuff. It's unprepared. Well, all of my episodes really are unprepared, but I usually have some idea of what I want to talk about. There was no specific story that came up other than to talk about sort of the dissolution of my marriage. And it's very interesting because I've been divorced now for some time. I left my marriage in 2018, and you guys know I've mentioned it, I'm sure, a number of times that my ex-husband and I are still great friends. He's an incredible human being. Nothing but love for that guy. We just weren't the right fit for each other. But when that dissolution started, I want to say I feel like that was very much a phoenix burning death card experience for me. And it lasted about 2 to 2.5 years. And I want to say I feel that was the beginning of this particular journey that I'm on now. And what has brought me through this particular cycle that I'm in now, getting to Phoenix and all of the things and stuff. So I feel like it's appropriate to talk about. We had been married for some time, and I want to say 2 years before our marriage ended, I started to just feel like I didn't have a place. I was not a priority in the ways that I needed to be in the relationship and in the dynamic, and I was trying real hard. We were in therapy and, working at coming together. And I mean, I loved that man, right? I loved him. So I was in it to win it. And over the course of 2 years, it became really evident to me that no matter what I do, he is not a changer. He does not like shift and change. And I'm a freaking phoenix with like phoenix tattoos all over my freaking body, talking about transformation, being the one that can turn herself into a pretzel at any given moment to be able to adapt, to shift, to have the experience, to make something work. And I had done that in my marriage for pretty much right from the get-go. Right? I mean, like, even just the whole way we got married was interesting. We met, we fell in love. I was in a different country. So he told me right off the bat, we can't go any further if you're not willing to come to me, because I have children. And so I'm not able at this time to relocate. But he implied that he would be willing to do that if the circumstances were different. I was like, okay, fine. I'll just sell my houses and, pack everything up, and I'm ready for the adventure. Let's do this. And for a while, it was incredible. It was great. And then as I kind of got into it, and as, people change or don't change, I realized my husband isn't good at this. He freaks out every time something comes up around this. And I recognized I've changed myself and turned myself, again, into a literal freaking pretzel, to the point where I don't even know who the hell I am anymore in this dynamic. I don't like who I'm becoming because I'm constantly frustrated. I'm constantly angry. I'm constantly feeling like I don't matter, like I'm not being heard, I'm not being understood. And when the final, straw fell, right, broke the straw that breaks the camel's back, it was a deep realization that I had been resisting, like I said, around 2 years. And that resistance suddenly came tumbling down. And in that moment, I recognized there's no going back. And there was a conversation that was had. There was a part of me that came out and came through that I'm not proud of. But I gotta say to you, I'm not mad at her either, because she was a product of me suppressing my needs. And when she finally was able to come out and have a voice, boy, oh boy, did she ever come out. Would I have done it a different way? I would have loved to have been able to do it a different way. But I also recognized that I was attempting all of those times to try and communicate, to be seen, to be heard, to try different things, different approaches, so that I didn't get to that point. And when I got to that point, I recognized this is all coming out. And I'm not a person, I'm a loud talker, but I don't like to raise my voice. I'm not an arguer. I don't fight loud. I might have the occasional, outburst here and there, but it's not my nature to do so. And all of this stuff that had been pent up for years started just coming out. And it wasn't pretty. It was very much like this death card energy. After all was said and done, I felt better because I had obviously released something that was pent up for a long time. It needed to be released. It needed to be shared. It was making me sick. But I also recognized in that moment, I've been resisting this change. And yes, I'm angry with him for not changing, but actually the fault lies with me because I've been feeling the change coming on, and I've just not wanted to accept it for what it was. And after that penny dropped, and I made that decision, divorce is never easy. Nobody marries with it. Well, most people don't marry, I'm sure, extenuating circumstances or whatever. Most people do not marry to get divorced, thinking that that's going to be the end result. And that certainly wasn't where I was at. I waited a long time to get married. I didn't even know if I ever was going to get married. So being in that situation, having those realizations, and then having that penny drop, and to feel completely free, liberated, embracing the death card, then it was the, oh, and now this is something that I'm not coming back from. This is something that I've drawn a hard line with. And not because I, acted out or said, I said the truth. I just maybe would have changed the way that it would have come out. But I did the best I could with what I had. All of that needed to be said, needed to be spoken, needed to be heard, needed to be said, all of those things. But this was the realization. And it was the, oh, I've been resisting this change, but actually this is the change in me. And I'm going to say to you, I left kind of on a wing and a prayer. I moved to a new country. I had a prenuptial agreement. There was no, it wasn't about money. It wasn't about anything other than love. But I also sold myself down the river, and I did not allow my own value and worth to be shown at the time. And I could have handled all of those things better. I could have advocated for myself in ways that I just didn't. A whole other story for a whole other time, all on me. But when I chose to leave, I was leaving with nothing. I had a 10-year-old vehicle that I brought over from Canada, and that was it. I didn't even own my own bed anymore because I had literally closed up all my businesses, quit my job, sold my life in Canada, and came here, starting under the guise and the promise of all the things that we had discussed. And now I'm standing in the rubble going, okay, I'm not making a ton of money. I'm making some money, but not a ton. And that was part of the reason that the marriage dissolved as well. Is he wanted me to make more money, but he had so many rules about the way I was allowed to make it in order for his life to not be affected. And me, being the people pleaser that I am, tried to accommodate in those ways, to the point where it was limiting me, it was keeping me from being big, being the energy and the light that I am. And so I left on a wing and a prayer. I left basically with no guarantee, going out on my own, doing the psychic thing, and making just what I needed to get by, to pay rent, because I was back to paying rent again, because I'd sold 2 homes in Canada, and I didn't own a home here. I was living in his home. We were supposed to buy a home together, and that never happened. So all of this stuff was sitting here, and I just knew this is what needs to happen. I'm standing in the rubble, but this is where I'm going to build myself, because I am free. I'm free of all of those restrictions. And now, anything that happens, it's on me. No one else to blame, no one else to hold me back, no one else to tell me how it needs to be done. This is where I'm going. And I want to say to you, my business exploded in all the right ways within a 4-month window of leaving that marriage. Am I saying, yay, rah, rah, I'm glad I left my marriage, I'm glad my marriage fell apart? No, I'm not saying any of that. It was hard. The Grim Reaper coming through my life, with the big scythe, chopping things out, that was not fun. And yes, I prolonged the experience because I was trying so hard to make it work. I didn't fully understand that it was actually something I was supposed to let go. But once I did let go and I fully embraced my life, my business tripled in that first year that I was out of the house and out of the marriage. And then it doubled the next year. So the point in all of this for me, when we're talking about transformation, not for me, the point I'm trying to make for you is that sometimes we don't recognize when the tides are turning, when things are shifting. Sometimes we try to go against the tide. We think it's something we're supposed to continue to prolong or to work towards or to be in. And sometimes that is the case. There are lessons to be learned. But when that penny drops, when the reaper shows up on the horse in your town, it's not something you need to fear. It's something that you want to embrace. Because in some ways, especially in my situation with this, being in that marriage was limiting me so much that I was losing myself in the process. It was keeping me from being who I am. And leaving it opened all of that up. So I welcome the death card when it shows up. I welcome change. Is it always sunshine and daisies, wine and roses? Fuck no. And I'm going to tell you, like even today, I ran into some issues today with the back end of the business and things shifting and changing without my understanding, without my awareness, without my express permission. Sometimes life is that way, and it's created a buttload of work for me that has already been done and has been done for a long time, and now I've got to revamp it. But it's also an opportunity now for me to say, how do I want to do this better? How do I want this to reflect the new me, the now me? And I can tell you, like being in my marriage and being me as I am right now would never have flown. It just wouldn't have flown. And he's a great guy, and he's open to the things that I do, and he's supportive and all the rest of it. He cannot handle this. And this happens every day on some level. You know, I'm always talking about we're always in some phase of the phoenix. This is that phoenix burning. This is what he dreaded, what we often, most of us dread, but is actually what brings us our liberation. I feel like that's our message for today. So where in your life are you perhaps resisting the death card energy in your life? Where are you noticing that maybe you're jumping through 57,000 hoops to make something work, not recognizing that maybe it's supposed to die? Maybe you're not supposed to get to the other side of that in the way that you're thinking. Maybe you're supposed to release it because there's something new coming in and you have to be ready for it. That's what the death card's all about. That's what change is about. Yes, change can help us to evolve and grow as humans, but change also is part of the adventure. And quite frankly, if we're always doing the same thing in the same way at the same time at the same pace, life is boring. I'm sure there are people on the planet who have come here to have that life and that experience, and you know, I don't judge them that. But I don't feel that that is the typical, the normal, the average, the point of it all for the majority of people on this planet. And I was raised in an environment where my mother was so afraid of everything that her goal was to get everything right here, tied up nice and tight in this box. And then you just live here. And the whole point of life is to make sure that nothing shifts that. But yet life would happen and it would create a lot of stress for her. I am the antithesis of my mother. My mother has even commented that not that she hasn't used it in these words that she's learned from me, but she has commented a number of times that there are things that I do and things that I handle on a regular basis that she just can't even fathom wrapping her head around because she lives in a box. She lives in a very small, her world is very small. And I'm just not. And again, no judgment. You don't have to live loud and proud, you know, in the ways that I do it. This happens to be my path. Your path might be different. But we can all learn from one another. And I feel like that's what the death card is bringing to us today.
It's that time again. Are you a starseed, lightworker, empath, sensitive, or healer, and you're feeling so disconnected lately from your spiritual path? Then this is the reading for you. Stacy the Black Feather Intuitive, and welcome to another segment of Divining a VIP Life, that Black Feather Couture energy. And I'm really excited to be doing real life readings with you guys today. So I chose this topic today because, again, I have really been needing this level of guidance. So you know, I always like to empower and support you guys and let you guys know that you are not alone. And even though I do this for others on a regular basis, and I can tune in for you like nobody's business. I don't even have to think about it anymore. It just comes so naturally. But when it comes to my own path and my own journey, I have been feeling really disconnected. And it's not the first time that this has happened. This is, I want to say, kind of a natural part of our ascension journey. It's ebbs and flows, right? We are made up of mostly water, and we ebb and flow with the tides of the ocean, with the moon energy. The sun affects us. We're all part of, we're all one. We're all part of the cosmos, right? We're all part of this earthly ecosystem. So it stands to reason that we are going to have those moments where we feel a little more disconnected or a little less. But regardless of that fact, it really freaking sucks when you're in that situation and when you feel that level of disconnect. It can be very disconcerting. So we're going to do a little something different today. I was going to do like a pick a card kind of situation, and I thought, no, that's just too overcomplicated. We don't need to do that. But I was drawn to 3 different decks. If you can relate to this, meditation has just not been doing it for me. I've not been able to get into that deeper sense of flow. I haven't been able to find a mode of meditation that has helped me to really feel that level of connection, or to go into that deeper space. I also can't seem to find a new course, a modality, or a mentor to get me to that next level. And that's been kind of frustrating for me as well. I've been on the hunt for that for a while, and I actually thought I found someone, and sadly, everything happens for a reason. Sadly, she transitioned. She passed away before we even were able to, sort of get into the nitty gritty. I did learn a lot from the handful of exchanges that I did have with her, but it was just devastating, and so, if you can relate to that too, where you're looking for a course and you're taking these courses and they just don't seem to have the meat that you're looking for. They don't seem to grab you. You're not alone in that. And I also wrote here too that I've been lately struggling with my energy levels, and as an empath, and that's a real challenge. And I have not been able to find a cleansing ritual or routine or an activity that brings me up to full. So if you can relate to these things, again, you are not alone. So I'm using a different deck for each question that we're going to ask today. And the first that we're pulling is from the Citadel, a fantasy oracle deck. So we're going to pull some cards now. And the first card that we're doing is from the Citadel deck. And the first question that we're asking, if you can relate to this, is why do I feel disconnected from my spiritual path? And I feel like, when we know the why, knowing is half the battle, right? Because if you know the why, then you can actually do something to improve it, to shift the situation. So, interesting. We pulled the Weaver, rediscovery and transition. So it's a little bit on the nose, isn't it? So all of us who are relating to this right now are in a phase of transition. And I'm going to argue that the whole world is in a state of transition right now. Everything is upside down, whether you're in the country of the United States, which is where I happen to reside right now, whether you are in Canada, my birthplace, that is being affected by what's going on with the U.S. neighbors, whether you are anywhere else in the world, you're watching what's going on and you're saying, okay, this is the pebble in the pond, and it has the ripple effect. So I feel like when we ask the question, why do we feel so disconnected? It's because we don't feel as though we are mattering or making a difference, that we are being seen, heard, felt, taken seriously. And I want to say the shift in this and the message in this particular card is to remember that we all weave our own experiences. We don't need kind of anyone else's permission to be able to do what it is that we want to do. So I keep seeing, like with the Weaver and the thread, it's like sew your own clothes, even if they aren't, fashionable, but they're comfortable or practical, or they give you what you need. sew your clothes, create what it is that you need. Don't worry so much about what else is going on around you. Focus more on, here's what I need, and I'm going to create the experience that I need. It's really interesting. I wrote a book many, many years ago now called The Archangel Experiment. And that book came out of a kind of a journey. I'm having this realization as we're talking right now. So this is kind of cool. I was in a situation where I was taking courses, doing workshops, like craving knowledge, information, connection, wanting to understand more about myself. And I had hit a wall, and I just hadn't realized that I'd hit kind of a place of, okay, you're seeking out information from those that can't give you that information anymore because you've already surpassed that. And I woke up one morning, I was looking for all this information for archangels. I'd read every freaking book under the sun. I'd, gone to angel readers. I'd done all the things, and I just didn't feel satisfied. Like I didn't get the fulfillment. I didn't get the thing that I needed. And I couldn't figure out what the hell was going on. And I woke up in the middle of the night. It was like 2:22, I think, in the morning. And my guide said, write the book you wish to read. Create the workshop you wish to attend. And I got up. In the middle of the night, I wrote out an outline. And then for the next 3 days, 16 hours a day, I wrote that book. And I want to say it actually wasn't me. It was channeled through me, through the guides. But they were basically saying, stop seeking outside of yourself. Go within. Ask the question, and then be receptive to that, and be willing to do what is required to bring it to life. So I feel like that is why we are feeling so disconnected right now, is there's a lot of shit going on, and we're getting distracted by that. And we need to remember that we get to sew our own clothes. We get to weave our experiences. We get to create the things that we want to know more about, because to know a thing is to be a thing. To be a thing is to know a thing. I like it. Okay, how can I get back to my why? My why. This can be your purpose. This can be direction. Or this can simply be the desire to have an experience. So I don't want you to get too caught up in your head about oh my God, but I don't know what my purpose is. Some of us in this transitional phase might not know what our purpose is, because we are in that transition space. We are expanding, learning, growing. And there's always a limbo process to that. I say it's the phoenix growing phase. You're not who you were, but you're not really sure who you're becoming. You're kind of in the messy middle, and it's the opportunity to receive. So we are pulling cards from the Angelarium Oracle of Emanations for this one. So how can I get back to my why? This can be purpose or direction, or simply the desire to have an experience. Chested, right hand, empathy. Wow. Having empathy for yourself is the way to come back to this. People who are watching this segment, again, starseeds, light workers, empaths, sensitives, healers, right? We're so focused on the external. We're focused on how we are here to make a difference. And I feel like we're in a time and a place right now where, again, to be a thing is to know a thing. To know a thing is to be a thing, or to become a thing. We have to become the thing, or be willing to receive the thing that we are offering to others. We have to bring awareness to that information. And if you are not including yourself in the process, if you're so worried about fixing, healing, advising other people around you, and you don't have empathy, you have a lot of empathy for them, but you don't have empathy for yourself, you're missing the boat. You're missing the point. So I feel like the step that we can all take is to really maybe see ourselves as an observer of our own lives and our own self. And, this is an exercise that helps me, and you can modify it to work for you. Sometimes, because my inner monologue is so nasty at times, it's so much better. I shouldn't say that in the past it has been nasty, and on occasion it can get there when my little demons start to pop up. I will do the exercise of sitting on the park bench with my inner child. Sometimes I just have a simple conversation with her. Sometimes I actually write out a message, words of affirmation, empowerment to her. And I always make sure that I'm treating her as I would a child, as I would my niece or my nephew who's struggling, going through some things, who doesn't understand or is just having a difficult time. And it's like when I think of how I would respond to another person, that's where the empathy comes up. When I'm just in my own head, in my own space and feeling all the feels, I forget that. I forget that because I'm harder on myself than I am on anybody else. And I feel like those of you who are watching this, you're doing that too. So step into that space of empathy. Now, there are a handful of you that I feel have also been experiencing some of what I'm feeling, which is a lot of repressed rage, that's coming up. And the issue with empathy is not so much about empathy for yourself, but it is having empathy for others. And zero judgment, because I oscillate, right? It just depends on the topic or the situation. Sometimes I can just have so much rage and I'm like, you made your bed, now lie in it. And I don't care. And I don't want to know. And I'm so pissed that I just don't have space for you. It's not a loving approach. It's not going to help anybody. It's over boundaried. So, you can have boundaries and you can draw a firm line, but cutting something out through a rageful experience is not a thought out response. It is a reaction. So for those of you who are falling into that camp, it's really stepping into the empathy for another. And even if that means like they have a dog and you have a dog, and everything else is the opposite, and you can't see eye to eye, but you've got a dog and they've got a dog, you can have empathy for them because they clearly have some kind of, goodness in their soul or whatever, because, they love their dog. Even if you got to go to those levels and those lengths, do it. Because at the end of the day, the empathy is the key to helping us move forward with this. And our third question, and we're going to be pulling cards from the Magic of You Oracle, Fiona Horn, is how will this period of wandering deepen my relationship to self and source? And I chose the word wandering specifically because of that saying, all who wander are not lost. And I feel like that's really important because many of you who are watching this, you do feel lost. And I want to say, we truly are never lost, and we truly are never disconnected from source. We can feel that way, and it's usually because there are egoic circumstances that are getting in the way or trying to get our attention so that they can be released, healed, repurposed, remolded, reshaped, reinvented, whatever the case, retired, whatever the case may be. So how will this period of wandering feels a lot better than lost, doesn't it? Wandering is I'm open, I'm curious, I'm observant, I'm seeing what's around me, and I'm making the conscious choice to engage with or to disengage with whatever is coming up into my path. And so there's a more of a sense of empowered decision making there. All right, so the wandering, we have Buho, transform the way you see. Oh, beautiful. And look at her. She's got these beautiful moths with the eyes on the moths. So beautiful. So when we're talking about this period of wandering, I feel like it's exactly what I was just saying. Going through your life right now intentionally with an observer's mind, with an observer's perspective. That means walking out the door, getting yourself, ready to go to work, and just observing yourself, being in a space of, that's interesting that I'm doing this, or that's interesting that I'm doing that. So many times we get into a pattern and cycle, we get into a routine and a flow, and that routine and flow can become very by rote, autopilot. We're not present. So transforming the way you see involves making a commitment to yourself to really sink your teeth into your day-to-day, the mundane, and not taking it from a place of judgment, but taking it more so from the place of, isn't that interesting that I'm doing this or this or this in this way? Let me take it a step further and notice how I'm feeling about that. Or am I even feeling, or am I in my head about something else and not present? So transform the way you see. Moth energy, like the butterflies, moths can definitely represent transformation, but they are creatures of the night. So whereas the butterfly comes out in the day and you see all their colors and all their brilliance in the sunlight, the light of truth, the moonlight is a softer light. And it is the light of, I want to say, illusion or deeper perspective. You have to get up closer to it to understand what it is that you're seeing. You have to take a softer approach. It is light. Moonlight is light. It's going to let you see things, but it's going to cast shadow. It's going to make things look a little bit different than what they actually are. You know, things aren't always what they seem. And I feel like when we are talking about this period of wandering and the transform the way you see, it's giving yourself the opportunity to use a little bit of a different light or a different lens to look at your life, to look at your choices, and to bring you into presence. At the end of the day, that's all that life really is about, is what were you present for? You know, when we come to the end of our life, when we're taking our last breath, you know, for those of us who have chosen to have that experience where you have the time to reflect on, you know, what's transpiring and what has transpired and reviewing your life. So many people don't focus on all the things that went wrong. More people say, I wish I had not worried so much. I wish I had not been so anxious. I wish I had just gone ahead and taken that trip. I wish I had just had that conversation rather than holding back. So it's an invitation for us to be present and to say yes to what is moving forward. And I feel like that's what's going to bring us into that level of deep connection that we're all seeking. Again, we really aren't truly disconnected. It is a perspective that we're having. It's the perception of what is transpiring for us because we're getting inundated and putting our focus on not the wrong things, but the things that are part of the illusion, that are part of the game of life. And it's our responsibility to get to the heart of it. And the heart of it is within you. It's not outside of yourself. It's within you. So I hope that makes some sense. I know I got a lot of juicy tidbits out of this today too. I can't wait to go back and watch the reading for myself, just as the observer and the participant. So I've got a brand new deck today, and I'm really excited about this particular Oracle deck. So excited to be tuning in with you guys today for this segment of Oracles. And I am Stacy the Black Feather Intuitive. We are going to be pulling a card today from the Water Temple Oracle from Susie Cherub. And I love tarot and oracle decks, and these images are just gorgeous. They speak to me. They speak to my soul. So hopefully they're going to speak to your soul too. And, you know, we're going to just tap into our divine dream teams and say, what is it that our divine dream team is really trying to teach us about ourselves, about our path, as we kind of tap in to the energies for this month. Let's tap into the monthly energy, and this is a timeless reading, so whenever you're getting this, you're going to get something from it. Interesting, we have a 10, sacred spring, vitality. I dance toward the light. So the first thing I'm drawn to actually is the 10. And 10 is new beginnings based on an already established foundation. And I feel like this month, our dream teams, divine dream teams, are really trying to encourage all of us to let go of what we have known, to let go of the predictable, to let go of the, I want to say, the by rote, and to step more fully into the energy and the presence of the new. Because it's important to remind yourself, we are in a state, in a phase of major change and flux. Some of us, the tendency is to want to stop the change from happening. I want to say that's a futile effort. Don't waste your energy trying to stop the change. Instead, step more into the energy of, okay, I have a solid foundation. If I really trust in my guides and I trust in my path, that there is a direction that I am stepping into and choosing, that as I am walking that, everything that I've got right now up to this point is enough to get me started on the next step, the next leg of my journey. And when we're talking about the sacred spring and vitality, I feel like sometimes when the chaos of change is so prevalent in our lives, we can feel the impulse to stand still, to stop, to wait, to watch what's going on. And if we get stuck in that pause and we're having a hard time getting out of it, we start to feel a little dead inside. Things start to get a little boring, or we get so fearful of making the next move. And you might think to yourself, I don't know why I'm so afraid. I did this before. Why am I, freaking out about doing it again? And usually that means you're stuck in a pause. You've outstayed your welcome in that pause. And so bringing the vitality back into your life means shifting things up a bit, doing a little dance, making a little love, get down tonight. Sometimes it's just stepping out of something that you know and stepping into the unknown. And you can do it in a safe way. It can be a calculated risk. But there's definitely that energy of, I need to shift this up in order to feel alive. I want to say to you, it's a tale as old as time, but it's the roller coaster. When you sit in and you get strapped into the roller coaster, like you're waiting in line for it and you're so freaking excited about, oh my God, this is going to be amazing. And then when you actually get in and you're sitting in it and the bar comes down and you get locked in, you start to think, ooh, maybe not so much, because there's the unknown. You don't know exactly what's going to transpire. You don't know if you're going to like it or not. And then you're off like a shot and you can't stop the ride in the middle of it. You're in it until the end. And it's, do I scream and hold tight and keep my eyes closed and just wait for the experience to be over? Or do I say, look, Mom, no hands, like this is, woo, this is exciting, right? There's movement. And I feel like it's the movement that you're being called into and invited into at this time. I dance toward the light. I feel like this is a month as well for all of us to decide what frequency or level of light is comfortable for us. And I keep seeing, I have a dimmer switch in my living room and for the main light. And that dimmer switch, it's kind of like, okay, do I need a lot of light because I'm going to be doing a lot of reading and, working on my computer, or do I just want kind of a softer light? It's all light. It's the, what is it that my soul is needing right now? So you might want the bright because you're like, yeah, full steam ahead. No hands, woo! Or you might be saying, not too sure about this one yet. So I'm going to just kind of like, I need a little support, or I need someone to hold my hand, while we're going through this. I need something quieter, dimmer, or maybe I don't do the roller coaster at all. Maybe I do the kiddie coaster, because that's the speed that I'm at. I'm still moving. I'm still moving ahead. I'm still choosing to accelerate. I'm just not accelerating at 60 miles per hour in under 2.2 seconds, right? So choose the level of light that you want to engage in, and don't judge what that is. Just recognize it doesn't have to be all or nothing. And I see myself like when I'm cooking in the kitchen, that's when I find that I dance, because I'm just kind of dancing around. I'm doing my thing. I'm pouring the thing into the thing, and I'm grabbing the stuff, and there's no music. I'm just dancing to my own whatever, but you can put music on. I feel like the messaging here is any little bit of movement is going to be the right thing for you. So don't get stuck. Time to move yourself from the stuckness. You already have that foundation. This is the time to move forward. And don't try to stop the change, because it's futile. Resistance is futile. All right, that is our Oracle for this month. Hoping you enjoyed our message from our guides, our Divine Dream Team. And can't wait to see you guys next time. Hope you have a great one, and we'll see you on the flip side. So I've got a brand new deck today, and I'm really excited about this particular Oracle deck.